Hey everyone, let's take a look at the Supply Llama by LEGO Fortnite. This is set number 77071. Contains 691 bricks, retails for $39.99, and the set was provided by the LEGO Group for early review. So thank you, LEGO, for sending this to me, because this looks pretty fun. See all the bright colors? Look at all those plates with bow on there too, and it looks like we get to make a backpack, and what is that, Slurp or Slap Juice, and I think that might be Ruby, TNT, and all that other stuff. I don't know half the stuff in there. And here's the back of the box. So it looks like the llama stores all this stuff and he distributes his goods to everybody. It looks pretty interesting. Let's open this up and see what's inside the box. I'm just dying to see what kind of parts we get inside the box. Okay. Well, it's packed nicely. It's not sloppy. Alright, let's start with the building guide. And, well, we already see stickers. Well, I could survive through that. And there's the instruction manual. And I bet it's just not going to tell us here. Yeah, it just jumps right in. Looks like we're building accessories first. And numbered bags. Well, looks like we get at least 6 bags. Okay. So we got 6 bags full of fun and excitement. There we go. Get this all in frame here for you. Doesn't look too bad. This looks somewhat entertaining the way it looks. I don't know, we got to see it in person. Let me head to my second channel. We're going to build this, discuss its qualities, then we're going to come back and take a closer look. Here is the Supply Llama all assembled, and it is a very unique build. And this is essentially what she is. Nice slopes being used for the tail, and I like the texture of this, but this was not a fun chore to put together. Now, that's pretty much the dime tour. We do have some accessories. Don't worry, we'll take a closer look at everything in a bit. So basically we got ourselves, I think this is a red ruby. And you could set this right inside here. Just make sure that these little flaps here are up before we do. We can just open up the hatch and load her up. So we're going to start setting some stuff in here. I think this is some kind of gold piece. Not sure what that is. We got some dynamite or TNT. I don't know if that's some kind of a, I was thinking frost or something, we don't know. We'll take a closer look at the accessories when we get to that. Some kind of bubble gum, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a flashlight. I've never figured that out. What is it, slap juice, slapberry juice? We'll throw that in there. And everyone's favorite, the backpack, the thing that we all see when we die and we have to go retrieve that. And set that in there. Then we can close this up. And we can just pour all this stuff out. But what better way of pouring all this out is with a close-up shot. Well, obviously she's got a face that only a mother could love. Here's a close-up of all those slopes. The cheese slopes and the plates with bow. That's a sticker, and these do open up. We'll take a look at that here in a bit so we can show all the items up close. There's a close-up of that tail. Top hatch. You can take a look in there and see what's inside. And my finger really wants to hit the stop button on this. Well, I won't be able to do that until we're done here. 4 little legs, and yeah, that's what it looks like on the bottom. It doesn't look like there's a lot to hold that up, but it's pretty sturdy. Now, if you want to open this up, yeah. I'm beautiful. I gotta have fun with these. Now, if you want to open this up right here, you can just flip this down here, and things will start falling on the floor, and you got to be careful. So I may have to pick up something else here in a bit. don't know what fell. Oh, I see it. That's that Slurp Juice. And then here we got this side over here. May want to cup your hand underneath there. Anything else hiding in there? Or we can just do that. There we go. Everything's starting to pour out. You're going to have to rattle it out. What does that look like in there? Let's take a peek. If I can even get that opened up. But, well, I don't have a camera partner here, so I have to do it all with one hand. That's essentially what this is. So here's the backpack. Yes, we've seen these many of times in the game. Well, I dropped that on the floor. Well, we can take a look at the logo there and the bouncy of the camera. And no, I'm not going to edit that out. Well, there it is. Well, I can't get the slapberry juice, but we'll take a look at the backpack again. Yeah, I've seen a lot of these in my server, so boy, that really just wants to fall out of my hand. And there's the, I believe, red ruby. That's the other item that fell on the floor. And there's a lot of pieces here that can get lost, so you want to keep them inside the Supply Llama. Makes a mess, doesn't it? And of course, loading this stuff up is pretty easy, but you just want to make sure that both your latches here are up. Okay. And now we can just load things back in like we did before. Just pop the hatch and just drop everything in there. Well, at least that one didn't fall on the floor like everything else. You gotta love my reviews. I don't filter these. I make mistakes. That's exactly what I do. Oh, we forgot to put something in there. Let's put that in there. I won't forget that. Well, does it... For the most part, everything fits in there. You may have to rattle it a little bit. And, of course, you know what this looks like, a piñata. Don't get any ideas. You'll be able to make a big mess and break some parts. For the most part, she is a very unique build. Here are my thoughts. Let's begin with build quality, and for the most part, this is a very sturdy build. Even the legs at the bottom seem a bit fragile, but it seems like they're holding the weight of the llama just fine. I really didn't have any parts fall off while assembling the set, but one thing to note is you have to be very careful when you're reading the building guide, because even I have messed up a few times on this build. And without a brick separator included, it makes it a bit impossible, especially if we're stacking plates on top of one another. Which leads to build experience. Yeah, I'd say this set is average. It was repetitive. At the beginning it was fine. When you start putting all these slopes, it got repetitive real quick. Very old, and it was starting to get boring. I'm not kidding you. It looks good. I like the texture of this, but this was a lot of work. It took a lot of time, and it was just repetitive. Even though this doesn't look like a playable model, we've seen a few of these accessories in other LEGO Fortnite sets. So these could be used to enhance other builds, or you can just play with this alone. This would make a nice display piece. And for the most part, it makes a nice storage unit to store all these accessories. So we don't have to worry about anything getting lost. As far as for city drop-in value, you really can't set this in a city. I mean, you probably could if you want to make this into a statue. If you have a LEGO Fortnite theme park, you could do it. But for the most part, I really don't see this being a direct drop in a LEGO city. But it is a self-contained build. In addition, there's a lot of good pieces in here to use for other creations, and I'm eyeballing all these plates with bow. I can use a lot of those for awesome builds. Now, sadly, this set is not a group project, but you may need to get some help putting some of this stuff together, because some of these pieces, like these side panels and the front and rear panels, especially some of these here, they're either in mirrors or clones, and the easiest way to put that together is to have a buddy help you. because each one of these pieces will take some time to put together, so it'd be best to have a friend help you assemble part of these components. Then you put them on the main chassis of the llama, if you want to call it that, at a later time. So it is possible that maybe up to 2 people can build this. It doesn't look like it, but it would be a good little collaborative build, but up to a point. Someone's going to have to start building it first, then start assembling these panels, and you just plug all the parts on. Now for my final score, it's going to be sadly an 8 out of 10, mainly because of a brick separator. The stickers weren't too bad, I'm not worrying about that, but a lot of these pieces were hard to line up, and if you made a mistake stacking plates upon plates, you're going to need a brick separator really fast. And I had to rustle one up maybe once or twice to make some corrections on this. And I had made a lot of boo-boos during the build of this, so you're going to need to find one. And that's probably the only 2 issues, but the main weight of this is the brick separator. Why wasn't one included for about a 700-piece set is beyond me. I don't know what LEGO was thinking, just leaving that part out. Would have been a nice addition for this large build, especially with all the plates and smaller pieces. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll figure out their logic behind that. But for $39.99, it's not a bad build. But tell me what you think.